Hi guys, Art with Miss H here. So I am in Kansas City today. I took a field trip and I am at the Nelson-Atkins Museum of Art. And I thought I'd just pop down for a fun museum trip and show you some of my favorite art pieces along the way. All right, so first up here at the Nelson was an exhibit that was about to close, and it was by an artist named Philip Haas, and it was called The Four Seasons. And I had seen this exhibit up and wanted to come to it for a while, but just could never make it down here. Philip Haas is the creator of these sculptures that are over 15 feet tall and made up of fiberglass. The artwork was inspired by artwork by Giuseppe Arcimboldo's portrait series known as The Four Seasons. So Giuseppe was a court painter, best known for his portraiture. It is interesting, though, that most of his other portrait paintings aren't in existence anymore. That most of the paintings that survive by him from this time period are the ones where he is using a collage-like technique of creating a grouping of fruits, vegetables, flowers, and putting them together to create these human-like figures. And so it is a really, I think, unique way to do art for that time period specifically. And I think that's part of the reason why maybe Haas was so interested in trying to recreate them and bring them to life. All right, so in this picture, we see Summer. He is made up of fruits and vegetables, grains, and nuts. And so you can see he's got different things that would be harvested during the summertime, as his mouth, his eyes, his cheeks, they're everywhere. It looks like a bird's nest is on top of his head, kind of making his hat-like shape up there. He's got stalks of wheat or grains as his eyebrows, so they have a really neat, fun texture. And then his coat is also made up of straw. And so all of these things are harvested during the summertime and make up his body. Up next is fall or autumn, depending on which word you like to use. His base of his body is made up of a wine cask. So that is the wooden structure that they use to make wine in. And so we see lots of grapes with him. We also see a little bit of wheat as well. And pumpkins. So this would be the time of year when they are harvesting those items and also using them to make wine. All right, this guy is my favorite. He is Winter, and Winter is a gnarled tree trunk. So he doesn't have any leaves on him because it is winter, and his coat-like structure is made up of straw. So the leftover bits of wheat, once it's been harvested, have been woven together to create this jacket that he is wearing, which you can see even some writing that's kind of been woven into its design. I think he has a lot of personality with his tree bark and the growth that you see coming off of his face. He really reminds me of one of the characters from Lord of the Rings. And our last season that we look at is spring, and spring is filled with flower blossoms. There are over 80 different varieties of flowering plants that are featured in him, and what's interesting is not all of them bloom at the same time. And so when the original painting was made for this, Giuseppe really had to have an understanding of when flowers were blooming and record them during their different times, so he could put all of those different flowers together to create spring. And one thing that I was really surprised out when I first saw spring is the movement that I saw in the sculpture. When I first saw the pictures of this, I assumed, it was made out of metal or something very rigid. And it is made out of a lot of rigid materials. That way it's strong and can be as large as it is, which is 15 feet tall. But it also has parts that are made up of silk plants. And so they are very flexible and movable. And as you watch and look at these sculptures, you can see a little bit of life come to them with the moving of the items that he has used to create the look of each character. So if Arcimboldo's artwork really inspires you, feel free to do some more research. One great book that I found on his artwork is called Hello Fruit Face, and it is full of the pictures of his different works of art that are made out of different objects and things. For example, there's one a man made completely out of books. There's another one made completely out of animals. And then you're going to see the ones like we saw with the Four Seasons that are made out of things you might find growing outside. And it has lots of information on the pictures. And it's just a really neat book where you can learn more about the artist and get to see his artwork and look closely at those details that just make his pictures so interesting. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Art with Miss H. I have lots more from the Nelson-Atkins that I am wanting to share with you. So be sure to check back soon to see the next posting that I share from the visit. Or better yet, click to subscribe so that way you are updated whenever new videos are posted every Monday. See you next week.